Hey, it's Al. So a lot of people have been asking me for a video on how my gauntlet works. This one in particular. Um, so it's fully articulated, it can move up and down, and has ulnar and radial deviation. This was the hardest to do. Um, but yeah, so the fingers don't articulate fully, but I'm not sure how much other gauntlets do that historically. I'm sure they were very articulated, but I couldn't figure it out, and it's something for me to learn. So I'm just going to go over some of the things that were really helpful for me to learn. I got a lot of tips off of Greenleaf Workshop. He has great videos. I'll put a link in the description, in the comments. He just makes excellent content for how to make armor. So without further ado, let's get right into it. What you don't realize about armor is that it looks like there's a lot of flat spots, but as it turns out, there's actually a lot of curved surfaces that look flat, and that's because you're only seeing half of the plate. When you think about it, if you have plate armor, they're overlapping at the edges. So you're losing half of what you see. So you only see half of it. So it's actually a lot more curved than it seems. Of course, not that drastic, but you do see a lot of curve in it. So that's why you're able to get, if I can pick up the light, you're able to get this curved surface, and then you're also able to get this, I don't know what you call that, outward bend. Um, and what's so useful about this design is that it doesn't allow for any gaps. And you have to have a curve. If it's not domed, it will have gaps. 100%. That's what I learned, and just trust me on this. If you just if you just bend it this way, it's going to have gaps. But if it's curved this way and this way, it's going to protect you, and it's not going to have the gaps that you'll typically find in more crappy armor. So if I pull the glove out here, you can kind of see how curved they are. And yes, this plate does dig in my hand. I'm working on that, and I'm trying to make it better. Um, so a lot of this armor, also a trick is, I'll put some things on the screen. Um, so the armor lames, when flat, almost make a C shape for the wrist. Why does it do this? Well, it does it for one reason, and that is when the plate moves up, if it were flat, it would bump into the plate behind it. So they make a C shape, and it essentially gives more room for it to move upwards. And you're thinking, well, okay, how does it not just make a gap when you go down? Um, well, that's the glory of it, is that you have a C on the other side, so it basically it protrudes more, so you're able to catch it. That leads me into my next point, which is you need to offset your pivot point. Um, and it doesn't have to be by much. And I know that sounds kind of odd, but you see I did here, especially in the finger lames, because you need a lot of articulation. Right here, see how it there's a bump going out and then it goes in. The reason why it is like that is because if you were to if you were to pivot it over in the same pivot point as along the plate, in or straight, it would create a gap because it's rolling off of the surface. Instead, what you want to do is you want to offset the pivot point so it lays it down on top. You don't want it to you don't want it to rotate off the surface. You want it to rotate onto the surface. And you're thinking, okay, well, if it rotates onto the surface, how are you going to get that downward bend like this? Well, since we're curving the armor, it already has that natural bend downwards. This is easy. This is the easiest motion to do. The hardest is this downward motion, and that's all the curve in the armor. Each plate has a curve in it. So when you're able to bend down, when it curves around, it has that nice non-gap kind of which, if you look here, if you look, at no point does gaps really appear in the armor. I'm sorry, my light's not super great here, but that's the hardest thing about armor, is making it so it doesn't have gaps. Now, on the comfort side of things, I'll be honest, it needs a bit of work. Yeah, I have that one plate that digs in, but I also have the fingers don't articulate all the way, so I do need to work on it. But honestly, I'm really happy with where I've gotten with this. It's oh, another thing. Um, if you look here, you'll notice I've done a really crappy job at sewing the fingers to the gauntlet. Um, yeah, I'm not a seamstress. I suck at sewing. But I figure if I loop it around enough, it'll be strong enough. And I am wasting thread that way, but I don't really care. So the thing with the gauntlet is that you can't. Sorry. The thing about the gauntlet is that you can't pin a glove to metal, or it will tear the glove. Linda Beige did a video on this where he talked about how the gloves in gauntlets were very thin and tight fitted and made of, if I'm correct, lambskin, which is, or sheepskin. I can't remember, but I'm not sure how strong they are, but they were very. It's a very delicate leather. It looks like, and it's very. It looks like very thin leather, and you cannot pin. Now, I'm not using a thin leather for this, but you can't pin the glove to the metal itself because it will tear. So what you do is you lay a leather strip and you rivet it to the glove. Now, from there, you sew the glove to the leather strip. So this allows it to be not only replaceable, but much stronger because it's a lot more delicate on the glove, so you don't have to have that, it doesn't have that problem of tearing. And also, if you were to rivet it directly to the glove, it wouldn't be comfortable. It'd be horrible to wear. Um, um, so one last thing to go over, the very last thing to go over is one of the hardest things that I think you can do as an armorer, and that's getting ulnar and radial deviation. You see this? That side-to-side motion, that is one of the hardest things to do. Not because it's technically hard, but because no... There's my cat. Because no one talks about it. I haven't seen any information on this except for Greenleaf Workshop. He does great videos, once again. But yeah, if you look... So the way it works is if you look inside, there's a slot. It's not just a single hole. You poke two holes and chisel out the centerpiece. That allows this to slide back and forth. And this is how you get that side-to-side motion on armor. So yeah. So I hope you liked this quick video. I know there wasn't much to talk about, but there's a lot more to show than there is to tell. I'm going to be putting up as much pictures and reference in the description, and I'm also going to be putting a lot of just visual aids throughout the video, and hopefully that will really help. So thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.